Good morning, everybody. In case anyone was wondering why I'm not here today, it turns out that the judge actually wanted me on a jury. Surprise, surprise. So I apologize that I'm not going to be in this week at all, but we do have lots of great stuff planned, so I'm going to tell you about that. The case that I'm on is likely to take the order of about a week and a half to complete, so that's a lot of time to miss. So I do want to keep going ahead with things. So all the stuff that we go over while I'm out is stuff that I'm going to expect you to be familiar with. But if there are some issues, we'll definitely clear those up when I come back. But I do want to keep the ball moving forward. Luckily, a lot of the stuff that you're going to be working on are individual or group investigations. And that will build upon. So what we'll work on today is creating a periodic table. On Thursday, we'll talk about what we've developed a little bit, and on Friday, we'll start talking about what are those little things called atoms that you've often heard us talking about. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. To get things started, what I'd like you guys to do is, if you could open up your notebooks to the next blank page, I want you to look at this illustration right here. This is a image, it's been typed up, but it was based off of an image from a Russian scientist by the name of Dmitry Mendeleev, and it was what he used to design the very first periodic table. What I want you guys to do is take a look at how he organized that. I want you to see how do you think the elements are organized in this table, and what do you think Mendeleev was trying to do? So just jot down a couple of ideas, and I'll give you just a few minutes to work on that. Now what I'd like us to do is on the orange paper that says creating a table, it says you're going to be working in groups of about 3 or 4 people with 1 deck of cards each group. And what I want us to do to start off is we're going to look for the BE, MG, CA, and SR cards in the deck. And what I'd like you to do is you're going to arrange them the same way that Mendeleev did on this illustration before us. And I want you to look at some of the similarities and differences in these cards. And I want you to describe one of those patterns to your group. When you're all set with that, what you're going to do is you are going to figure out with your group how to organize the rest of the cards in the periodic table. Now, there's no right or wrong way of doing it, but some ways of organizing it certainly work better than others. So again, don't focus on whether it's right or not, but make sure that you have a reason for how you a logic behind how you organized it, because it'll make the questions that come up a lot easier. So I'll give you guys some time to work on that. So now that we've had some time to practice sorting these cards and creating our own periodic tables, hopefully we start to realize that it's pretty impressive that Dmitry Mendeleev, back in his day, was able to create a periodic table off of just a little bit of information. It actually turns out that Mendeleev used a system similar to what you guys just did, where he actually wrote that information on individual index cards, and he'd have them spread across his desk. And every now and then he'd get an idea and he'd rearrange the cards. And it took him actually a while to come up with it, but eventually what we see here is the final periodic table that he had developed. Now, as I said, there's more than one way to organize it, and if you do a search online, you can actually see numerous different ways of organizing periodic tables. Hopefully, at least some of you were able to come up with a table that looks something like this. This table is organized very logically, lots of different things we can talk about, and we will talk about, and how this is organized. And we're going to start talking about what each of these symbols indicate and some of the numbers and information on it. So the final thing that I'd like you guys to write down, kind of the key points. So the periodic table was organized in such a way by Mendeleev based largely on two factors. One was, how are these elements going to react, and what was the mass of these individual elements. And as I said before, what I find is the most interesting part is that he actually left gaps in the periodic table that allowed for new elements that had never been discovered before. And hopefully in your table, you actually may have found that one of those gaps appeared naturally on its own based on your organizing method. So that's it for the notes. This completes the notes for today. Before you leave, what I'd like to do is ask you one quick question. Based on these elements, what I'd like you guys to do is take a moment and think about which ones of these might be grouped together on the periodic table. So between cadmium, zinc, iodine, and mercury, based on some of the properties, reactivities, types of compounds they form, see if you guys can come up with a prediction on which ones would likely be grouped together.